Hello, this is Mr. Maxwell. I'll be your instructor this year for AP Economics at the Fairfax County Public Schools online campus. You'll be watching this video today to get a brief overview of the course itself, the types of work you'll be doing and the grades you'll receive, as well as how to use Blackboard on a weekly basis. A little bit about me. I do teach at Lake Braddock Secondary School during the day, and I have a background in both business, but also I went back and got my history degree to become a teacher. And I've been teaching history ever since and started to pick up micro and macro about 5 years ago. A couple of technology requirements just to make sure you are aware. We do support Internet Explorer. Although you'll find that Chrome and other browsers may work, you do need to make sure be able to turn on Shockwave and Flash in those browsers if you want Collaborate and other software that we use to work correctly. Also, we don't support Apple computers, although you'll find almost every Mac will work as long as you're using a browser that's compatible with the software we use, especially for chat sessions. Please note here at the bottom, you must upload your work each week in a Word document or in a PDF file so that we can view it online on our Blackboard site, grade it, and give feedback on that. If you upload a zip file, a .pages file, or any of those other types of file types, we will not grade those, or I will not grade them. You'll be required to upload in the 2 required formats for all of your work. A few things I'd like to address before we get out of here today. First of all, how do you log into the course and what kinds of things do you do, including quizzes and tests? We'll talk about the midterm and final that we'll have to do in person. The AP exam itself, where hopefully you'll go in and get 5s and get credit for 2 different courses. The macro test is on May 16th and the micro test is on May 18th. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about grades. The calendar itself is set up so that, or all of our online classes are set up with the expectation that you'll be doing about 5 hours of work each week in the course. If you are listening to this later in the year because you signed up later, you'll be doing a little bit more work per week. Please make sure you follow the calendar that's in the course and complete all of the assignments that are due by Sunday at midnight. Now that's 11:59 p.m. If you have any problems, and if you know ahead of time that you have problems, you need to email me, contact me in some way to make sure I'm aware of those. The expectations for this course is that you'll be active every day. You'll be checking your email. Now, I know for some reason your generation doesn't exactly love email, but that's the way we will communicate in this course. I do have messages being sent out via remind.com. If you go to the first announcement on Blackboard, you'll find a way to sign up for that. This course is not self-paced, but it does require you to be self-motivated or intrinsically motivated. You will have to take on the responsibility of making sure you're up to date each week, and you can't put things off. The expectation is you'll be doing work during the week, not doing all of your work on the weekend. And I will stress this over and over again. Communication is important. You'll need to email me frequently if you have any questions or problems. And then each week for an hour, we will meet as a class. And that's really what makes this class different from other types of classes, is that we expect you to be there. It's required for you to be there and interactive during our chat sessions. A couple of things, or a few things you should be doing. Check your email every day. You should be in Blackboard every day doing work or checking on your work. Reading announcements. There's a way to check your grades that we'll talk about in class. Going through the readings or watching videos that we have in this class, and then participating in all of our chats and discussions. Our virtual chat will be every Wednesday from 8:15 to 9:15. It will occasionally go past that toward 9:30. You will need to be a full participant, which means you'll log in to Collaborate and your microphone must work. If your microphone does not work, you will not get credit for being in class and active. When you log in, please make sure you use your first name and last name. You also need headphones and the microphone that must be working, as I said. Please be active. I need to hear your voice. I need to know that you're there and not watching a baseball game or doing your other homework while the class is going on. It is supposed to be interactive. If you have any problem with your equipment, I have some contact numbers for you at the end of this. The assessments that you'll take, you'll have unit tests every 2 weeks or so, and you'll have reading quizzes really every week. Those are expected to be closed book. You do not have a browser open looking for answers. You don't have a textbook open going for those answers. You'll have done enough work to get ready for these quizzes and exams that you shouldn't need to look anywhere else, because they're the same types of questions we'll be using over and over again. Grading policies. You'll have 2 in-person tests, a midterm that will happen somewhere probably in January, and a final that happens in May. If your midterm test is 2 letter grades below what your online tests have been up until that point, you will be asked to take the remainder of all of your tests in the second semester in person, either at my school or at the Sprague Center where our offices are, or you can find a teacher or a counselor at your school who will proctor the remainder of your tests. That is to make sure you're not taking those tests that aren't in person with any help or any other materials. So those face-to-face exams, again, are the midterm. You'll be taking these at Lake Braddock Secondary School, my school. The final micro-final will happen around January, and macro-final happens near the end of the year. You'll need to bring photo IDs for that. Our general grading policies, everything's weighted on or scored by points and then weighted in these ways. The multiple choice exams that you take every 2 weeks or so are worth 45%. The FRQs, which are kind of the word problems, not the multiple choice part of the exams, will be 20%. Reading quizzes, 10%. Online activities, which is kind of your weekly work, is 10%. And then your chat attendance and summaries, meaning coming to class and being active, will be 15%. We will accept late work. Really, I'd like to have it by the end of the week, the following week, but our official policies will take up to the end of a unit, but that's usually every week or so. You will be assessed a 20% penalty for late work. If you have problems, please get ahead of that and let me know that you have a problem. That way I'm not waiting to see if your work's coming in to me or not. You will get weekly progress reports from me, and your final grade will be created in this way, or put together in this way. Each quarter is 15%, so first, second, third, fourth. And final micro, which you'll have around January, will be 20% of your grade, and your final macro grade will be 20%. That should, let's see if we can add up to 100%. And we will use the standard Fairfax County grading scales. Now, part of this is cut off, but I do want to make sure you know this. If, for whatever reason, I don't hear from you and you turn no work in for 5 days, you will be warned that you are not meeting the needs, or you're not living up to what you're expected to do in an online class, and you'll be recommended for being removed from that class. After 10 days, we actually start the process of withdrawing, and at 15 days, state law actually tells us that we have to drop you. So this is really hard to do, to completely forget about my class for a week with the amount of messages I'll be sending. It takes effort to do that, so I don't expect any of you to have a problem with that. Just some encouragement from me. The dad in me asks myself to do this to you every year. Always ask for help ahead of time. Email, please. I swear I'll respond quickly to you, and we'll work something out if you're having trouble with schedule. Don't get behind. We like to mention the ideas of dishes and laundry. They're not that hard to do if you do them each night. But if you wait until the weekend and all your dishes are piled up or your laundry is piled up, suddenly you have a large task to finish. And we will occasionally have issues with technology, so please do not panic. A couple of things you might want to write down, or you can come back to this video if you need it. The online campus is always available to you Monday through Friday for some general technical help. If you have trouble with our chats, you need to use this Blackboard Collaborate help, and I'll have this listed on our website too. And please contact me. Email is the best way, but you'll have other contact information from me later. So with that, I want to look at Blackboard really quickly. These are the types of assignments you're going to have, and I'm going to show you on Blackboard how you do each one of these. The online activities are what we do on a weekly basis. There will be some reading for you to do, but we also have videos, so we have flipped the classroom. So if you find that just watching the videos is good enough for you, you will not have to read the textbook. If you'd rather just read the textbook, you can do that. We do then ask you to apply what you've learned on a group of problem sets that you'll turn in each week. You'll have a reading quiz at the end of each week that kind of tests your ability to retain and work through the things that you've learned this week. And please note that you get 2 attempts on that. So if you go through the first time and find that you didn't like what you came out with, you can have a second chance. That's on the weekly basis. Discussion boards we'll talk about in just a minute, but you'll be expected to post 2 original questions and 1 response to another student's question each week. We have unit tests about every 2 weeks. Those are closed book. You get 1 attempt on those, although we do have a second chance policy that we'll talk about too. We also then have free response questions. Those are closed book, but you only get 1 attempt at those. So without further ado, let's go over to Blackboard. So now we are over here in Blackboard, and this is, hopefully you've already seen this page and you've seen my multiple messages I've sent out. Every time you come in here, you'll see the announcements page first. If you ever need to get back to the tech checklist, and if you're having problems, I'm going to say, did you go through all of these steps? And if you didn't, you need to do that. That's also on that first page. But more importantly, these announcements are here for you to review. And what will happen eventually is this remind page right here will be at the top of the announcements. So anything that I send out via text will be the first thing you see. If you don't know how to sign up for these, it's at the bottom of this page. So let me just walk you through what you'll do each week. You'll come in, take a look at the course calendar. You'll note that we actually have some homework due or some work due this week, lessons 1 and 2, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Whenever you have work to do, you're going to come over to the left side of the screen and go to Course Materials, AP Micro for the first semester, and then you'll have Units. And from there, you'll see Lesson 1 and 2. This is due this week. You go straight into Lesson 1. And almost everything you're going to do will be under Course Materials. This is the work you're going to do. Then, once you finish this work, you'll come back, take a look at the Lesson 1 reading questions. This is a quiz that is using a test bank to randomly generate a bunch of questions for you to test your knowledge. You can come in and then do your Lesson 1 online activities where you upload files, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So, if you're doing Lesson 1 today, click here, opens a new window, and you'll see this page. And what you'll find here are the various steps you need to do each week. And you'll start here, and you can read using the PDF version of these textbooks, or we have videos for every topic, and you'll get to learn Mr. Foos's voice. After a while, he has flipped his classroom at Madison, and we use his materials as our kind of lecture outside of our classes. So you'll watch this video, take some notes, and then you'll come back, and under step 2, you'll open a problem set. And those problem sets have a number of different kinds of questions for you. You'll work through that. You'll need to be able to edit these, or if you want to print them off and write your answers, you can do that. Take a picture of it, but then you'll need to embed that picture into a Word file or to a PDF. Once you have completed the problem set, before you upload, we actually provide the problem set key for you so you can check your work. The idea is that you go through the first time, make all your mistakes and figure out where you're having problems, check your work, and then if you still have a problem, we are going to ask you to go to the discussion boards. In the discussion boards, you'll be expected to do this. And if you forget where this is, which is what I do every week, come back to this page with the pale yellow in the background, click on the writing prompt, and this is what you're going to do every week for the discussion board prompt. You're going to post 2 specific questions you had from the problems, not just cut and paste from them. Explain the concept you're having a problem with, or if you didn't get the math, write that in there. And someone else hopefully will answer that question for you, because you're posting 2, and then someone else is going to post an answer to you. And then you'll come through while other people have posted, and we want you to choose one other student's post and provide a thorough response explaining how you see the question, or maybe how it's applied in the real world. So that is what the discussion board is. So each week you'll come in, watch your video, read your textbook, do the problem sets and check that. Post on your discussion board any questions that you have, and then once you have all those files saved, I'm going to have you go back with me to Blackboard, and that's where we start to work here. Lesson 1 reading questions is where you're going to take your quiz. Then you're going to come into Lesson 1 online activity, and I'll go there with you, and this is where you're going to browse your computer to attach files. Please note you get 1 attempt to upload everything, so if you have 2 documents to upload, upload them both at the same time. Then I will take a look at this each week and grade those for you. So go back a step. That is under Lesson 1 online activity. That's where you upload. To get to the discussion boards, let's say you had 2 problems that you wanted to ask questions about. You come into discussion boards, click on Lessons 1 and 2, and then create your thread. So let's say you had a question on opportunity costs and another question on trade. You would post those here as separate topics. You need to have 2 original postings each week, and then you'll respond to another. All right. That is kind of the general mechanics of what you're going to do each week. So you're going to come in, read, watch a video, do your homework, take a quiz, and post on the discussion board. We'll have a brief summary of all this in our first session next week, but hopefully you won't have any problem going through it. If you do, email me. Good luck, and I'll see you after you've done Lesson 1 and 2.